Hello chums, and welcome to the Fastest Lap series, where I'll be putting all of the road cars in Gran Turismo 7 to the test. Each car will be scrutinised in a few ways, once with no upgrades and comfort soft tyres, once with all upgrades and racing soft tyres, and once with an engine swap if the option is available. All cars are tested on a PlayStation 5 controller because I am an unsophisticated proletarian, and I drive each car with no driver assists except for ABS. I am by no means a professional, but I can usually complete a lap without binning my car into a wall, so hopefully I can do each car justice. The chosen test track is the Nurburgring Sprint course for its variety of corner types, along with a few longer straights to test every aspect of a car's performance. Let's see today's contender. Are you aged between 25 and 40? Do you like cars? If the answer to both is yes, then there's a good chance you had a poster of a Lamborghini Diablo on your bedroom wall growing up, and it was either a bright yellow SV or a purple SE30. Remember? It was right next to the Ferrari F40 poster. Usually I'd make some sort of questionable generalization about the sort of person who drives this car, but I respect it too much to do so. Anyone who owns a Diablo today has taste. Lamborghini started out of spite. Ferruccio Lamborghini didn't like Ferrari's apparent lack of care when it came to building their road cars, and he wanted to build a better car to shove up Enzo's arse. And you could argue that he succeeded with the 350 GT. But the front-engined Gran Touras made by both companies were soon overshadowed by the Miura, one of the most stunning cars ever made, and by most accounts a complete pig of a thing to drive. The Countach followed not too long after, which you could make the case is the most 1980s car to come out of the 1970s. However, it was another car that punished its owners, being quite a difficult thing to live with. While Horacio Pagani was adding a bunch of extra skirts, vents and machine guns onto the Countach to create the run-out 25th anniversary model, Lamborghini was designing its successor. Marcello Gandini was contracted to design it. After all, he designed the previous two, why change a good thing? His original concept was the P132 prototype, which may look familiar to those of you who've played older Gran Turismo games. In the late 1980s, the financially struggling company was bought out by Chrysler, and the American giant did not like Gandini's hard-edged, radical design. Chrysler's Detroit design team was brought in to perform a rather all-encompassing rethink of the overall design, effectively rounding off all the corners. Gandini, not best pleased by the corporate meddling, would go on to take his original design to another interested party, and it would eventually become the Cesetta Moroder V16T. While the Countach was a bare-bones heavy monster of a car to drive, the Diablo was to be at least somewhat better equipped. Early models came with an improved sound system, along with adjustable seats and steering rack for improved ergonomics. Later models also received power steering and ABS, and who wants to bet this was thanks to the Honda NSX rewriting the supercar rulebook. The engine also received some attention. While the final variants of the Countach used a 5.2-litre version of the Lambo V12 with roughly 450 horsepower, the Diablo started life with a 5.7-litre, pushing closer to 490 horsepower. On its release in 1990, it was capable of 202 miles per hour, making it the fastest car you could buy at the time, if you ignore the extremely limited roof CTR Yellowbird. In 1993, the Diablo VT was unveiled, featuring a raft of changes. The most obvious was the addition of an all-wheel drive system, which is the reason for the name VT, viscous traction. This system was effectively repurposed and modified from the LM002 4x4. There were a few other variants as well, such as the limited edition SE30, which received a boost in power, the SV, which was more bare bones, and there were roadster versions of the VT and SV. Throughout the 1990s, Lamborghini traded hands a few times, eventually ending up in the hands of Audi in 1998, themselves owned by Volkswagen, and the Diablo received a facelift the next year. The interior was redesigned to bring it up to date with the late 1990s, the engine was boosted to 530 horsepower across the range, and the pop-up headlights were ditched for the same units you will find in a Nissan 300ZX. What you see in Gran Turismo is arguably the ultimate version of the Diablo, at least as far as road-going examples were concerned. The GT. The V12 engine was stroked to 6 litres and now pushed out 575 horsepower. Allowing the car to reach 210 miles per hour. The bodywork received a few changes as well, such as the enlarged front air dam for extra brake cooling, widened front quarter panels to accommodate a wider track, and a rear diffuser in place of the rear bumper. Carbon fibre was also used extensively to reduce the weight, and the all-wheel drive system was not an option. As a result, the GT was about 70 kg lighter than the SV, and over 150 kg lighter than the all-wheel drive VT. This car stands as the last V12 Lamborghini with rear-wheel drive, so how will this 25-year-old supercar perform in Gran Turismo? Like all unmodified cars in this series, this car has no upgrades that affect the performance in any way, and it is fitted with Comfort Soft tyres. The reason all cars are fitted with Comfort Soft tyres is because they will give a very rough approximation of how the real-life car will perform on some fancy Michelin Pilot Sport tyres, which are some of the better summer tyres on the market, which are road-biased but can handle a track day. While the sports tyres would be faster, there aren't many cars on the street rolling around on Cup 2R tyres. I love this car. Supercars from a bygone era have a reputation for being unforgiving, but that's no problem in Gran Turismo with wide open racetracks. The Diablo is smooth, predictable, and easy to drive. One thing that surprised me is how much low-end torque it has, easily kicking the tail out in third gear. It also sounds excellent, and it achieves a 1 minute 39.059, our first road car to break into the under 1 minute 40s. The Diablo was turned into a racing car on a few occasions, with the most famous examples being the Japan Lamborghini Owners Club, or JLOC, creating the Nomad Diablo for the JGTC. It performed terribly, but it looked damn good doing it. How will it perform in Gran Turismo with over 800 horsepower? Like all upgraded cars, this one is on racing soft tyres and has every performance upgrade available, including wide body, aftermarket wheels, and any visual options that add downforce, along with the body rigidity increase. For the setup, everything has been stiffened up to prevent body roll as usual. Natural frequency is higher at the rear to improve stability when braking, and beyond that, this car works remarkably well with a very generic setup, as you would usually find on a lower powered front engine rear-wheel drive car. Having a very long first gear helps with this car since the standard ratios are fairly close, causing wheel spin in third gear. Long ratios in first and second gear can act like their own form of traction control. I recently uploaded a video showcasing my top 15 favourite cars in Gran Turismo 7. If I were making a top 20 list, this car definitely would have been featured. It drives that good. There's just no weaknesses. I guess part of that comes down to the comparative lack of upgrade potential. This car starts with just under 600 horsepower and ends with just over 800. Meanwhile, a contemporary Ferrari F40 starts with under 500 and ends with over 900. That doesn't hurt the Diablo too much though, as it gets a 1-minute 22.056. That's just ahead of the engine-swapped 1999 Impreza, which despite its four-wheel drive system is more difficult to drive. And it's only half a second behind the engine-swapped Mitsubishi Evo 5, which was fecking rapid. Considering the Diablo's statistics, being the second fastest road car is not bad at all. The unmodified car, on the other hand, easily takes the lead from the Hyundai Ioniq 5N thanks to having brakes. It'll be interesting to see how the other supercars of this time period will compare. I love the Diablo. If you haven't already, go and buy one. Or, you know, at least go and buy one whenever it next comes up in the stupid used car dealership. Whether you leave it stock, buy a few choice upgrades, or go full balls to the wall, this car will just work. So that was the last rear-wheel drive V12 Lamborghini ever made, at least for road use. If you have any requests for cars you want to see tested sooner, please comment down below. Thank you very much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, I'd be very grateful for your subscription. Take care now, and ta-ra.